and welcome to the Clock End Talk, an Arsenal podcast. I'm your host, Tez. You can follow us at clockend_talk. And we have had 2 weeks off, but we are back, and apologies for them couple of weeks off, but we just had nothing to talk about. So I thought, I'm not going to jump on a microphone just to talk absolute shit to you good people. So
anyway, you do every other week.
I actually got told, Tony, and that is Tony, who is always here apparently. So Mr. Reliable, I actually got told I was right again in the WhatsApp group, Tony. That shocked you, didn't it?
About what?
I can't remember what. That was the second bit. I was hoping you would remember. It was something. Clay or one of the boys said, "Oh, you're right again, Tez." Oh, VAR was shit. That was it. VAR. I called it last season or something. So, anyway, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. Bit tired. Won't bore everyone. So, just eating some sweets, nice and healthy.
Nice.
And then talking to you lads.
Very good. And that other cackle and chackle you can hear in the background is Addy. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How's everyone?
Good, mate. Good. How's your week been?
It's been all right. Just again, to be fair, I was excited to see Arsenal play the weekend because the 2 weeks off was pretty boring. It was like an international break, but luckily without any international football, because I actually hate international football.
Do you follow them when they were in Dubai? I have a look at the videos and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I was anything that came out, I jumped onto it straight away.
Yeah,
I know it was
weird
good.
How we get like that, isn't it? Like usually you wouldn't care that Tierney's back running, for example, but because there's no football, it's like fuck me, Tierney's back running. What? That's huge. Like if it's a normal Wednesday, no one gives a shit.
Nah. I found Twitter pretty quiet, but I wasn't on there much as well, so that's probably why.
That's probably why it was quiet then.
Yeah. But I just noticed it was either a bit quiet or just full of absolute shit, and people were very bored, and there was just some, I won't go into it, some weird opinions floating around, so I don't want to throw someone under the bus, but anyway. It was all about Ramsey, so here we go again. Anyway, let's get into this game. Yeah, let's get into this. Newcastle, if you haven't watched the game, well, I suggest you get on and watch it because we did win the game 4-0, and it was a game of two halves, really. I wasn't, and we'll get into it, Tony, but it was the first half was, oh, shit, here we go, and then we come out and, fuck me, I don't know, scored four goals in the second half. But start off, Tony, with the lineup as usual, mate. Couple of little minor changes. Ceballos there, and Eddie was starting up top. Yeah,
I mean, Ceballos one caught us all a bit by surprise, I think, or certainly the people I was with. Obviously, a few weeks ago, wasn't even getting minutes in the cup, or was on the bench, couldn't get even what we'd call our second team or our weaker team. So then to see him starting sort of seemed to come out of nowhere. Obviously, at that time, we hadn't heard about the Guendouzi stuff. We just saw he wasn't in the squad. So again, that kind of caught us by surprise. But the main one was Eddie. I think everyone has pretty much been calling for Lacazette to get dropped, but we all assumed it would mean Aubameyang in the middle and Martinelli out wide. So then to look at the team and see Eddie, it was a big surprise. And some people, I was in the pub when the team news come out, and some people going, oh yeah, it'll be Eddie wide because he's got a bit more, like he runs channels anyway, and Aubameyang will be through the middle. And I thought there's absolutely no way that's going to happen. I knew he was going to keep Aubameyang out wide, and I don't know why he persists with it, but he did. If you're going to say that was an audition for Eddie, for me, it's not one he's passed. I don't see him start. He may start on Thursday. Obviously, we've got a Europa League game. I don't see him starting on Sunday. But who knows? You never know if certain players came back. Not say certain players. Martinelli came back a bit fatigued or with a little knock because obviously he didn't come on at all. He didn't really warm up vigorously. So maybe he only had sort of 20 minutes in his legs for emergencies, and so they put him on the bench and he didn't have a start in him. Who knows? But yeah, I mean them two inclusions of Ceballos and Nketiah definitely were eye catching.
Addy, I'll get your thoughts on the lineup, and I'm just going to go back to Tony after that. I want to go back in the Europa League stuff.
Yeah, no, I was pretty surprised to see Ceballos, I would say, but even more surprised to see Eddie. Again, I was definitely calling for Lacazette to get dropped, but I didn't think it would be a Babiang still out wide and Martinelli dropped. And again, I was surprised that at no point Martinelli didn't feature, but. It's good that we have that option to not play Torreira and put in Ceballos to put in that extra ball playing midfielder. So it's good that we have that opportunity because a few weeks ago, Ceballos wasn't even getting into the team. So it's really good to see him in there.
Tony, you did bring up very quickly, you just touched on Europa League and, obviously Eddie kind of shocked everybody that Lacazette was finally dropped because a lot of people have called for it. However, on the flip side, Martinelli, Lacazette, I don't know if Martinelli's got a knock, we're only just presuming, or is it the fact that we are saving him for Europa League and we're going guns blazing for Europa League?
Look, I think Arteta will go all out for the Europa League. I can only base that on what Guardiola's done in playing his strongest team in every competition, and Arteta does seem like he wants to win every game. I don't feel like he saved him for the Europa League or saved anyone for the Europa League. And I really don't know who's going to play on Thursday. As I said, I would probably expect as close to strong as possible with maybe one or two exceptions. I don't know. I don't think...
Yeah, no, it's just what
he plays.
Yeah, well, I just thought it was odd, and it's not odd now that we won the game 4-0, but when you're going into half time and you're at 0-0 and you got Martinelli on the bench, and look, I don't want to say Eddie had a shit game, but look, I'll agree with you, it wasn't a pass for me, but then you've got Martinelli on the bench and you've also got Lacazette on the bench who come on late. I think should the changes have happened, and don't get me wrong, I know it was a 4-0 win, but were you thinking change at half time?
Yeah, everyone was.
Yeah.
I think anyone now that says they weren't is looking at it with aftersight.
Yeah, okay, cool. No, because that's what I was thinking.
Half time. Yeah, I was in the concourse at half time, and not only my friends, but you hear other groups of people talking to each other. And everyone's like, he's got to change something, and everyone throws in their two pens, he's got to do this, he's got to do that. But there was no one saying, keep going as it is, it looks okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I wasn't. What about you, Addy? You still with us, Addy? Might be on mute, buddy.
Hello?
Yep,
hello?
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was on mute. Sorry.
You're right,
I didn't think Eddie was the problem. I just didn't think we got into the game. So which is why I wasn't thinking of making a change quick enough. I think watching that first half, I felt that we just didn't get the ball into Ozil. And to be fair, Newcastle were really compact. So it was really hard to get the ball into Ozil. And I think later on in the half, he popped into a few bits of spaces, and I didn't think Ceballos combined as well. But then you saw that more in the second half. So I wasn't thinking. I'm not saying that Eddie had a good game. And to be fair, he got into good positions, but just didn't take his chances, especially the one where I think Ozil played it into him in just before the first half ended, and then he took a snapshot on the edge of the box, but it was an easy save for the Newcastle keeper. So I just thought we didn't get into the right positions for him as well. So I didn't think that a change was needed early, but I think something did need to change, as in system-wise and how we were playing, because it was a bit slow, our build-up play in that first half compared to the second half.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to slightly defend Eddie on that chance. I know you're not saying he missed a sitter, blah, 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 but I thought, as I watched it live and saw it, I thought he should have done a lot better there. And then I saw the replay. It weren't really a great chance. I don't know if it is we'd just been so starved of anything else that was our best chance. So we think, fucking hell, we need to take these. But when I saw it back, I was a bit like, if he scores, he's done very fucking well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
To be fair, the ball was slightly behind us, so he even had to cut back. But I was thinking that maybe bring it on to his left foot and then have a shot there, as opposed to taking that right-footed shot.
I just think the ball was wrapped in so quick. I don't think he really had time to take a touch, and also he was outside of the post, which is what I didn't realise at the time, which made it a lot harder. I thought he was sort of in line with the goal, so he's got he can just wrap it in either side, but he was outside of the line of the post. He can only go one way. You could see Dubravka started moving before Eddie took the shot, really, because it could only go in one side of the goal.
It's fair to say not a lot happened in the first half. I actually thought Newcastle were well on top, probably the first 20, maybe even 30 minutes of the first half. My one probably thing that I'm going to bring up is Granit Xhaka, the yellow card, 9th minute. I thought it was just another stupid fucking yellow card from Granit.
It is a yellow card. It's just stupid.
Yeah,
it wasn't really necessary. There was nothing to gain by it.
He's on number 7 now as well. So
I don't know why.
I think once he gets
was he on 7?
I think it's a 2-match. Yeah. I think once he gets to 10, it'll be 2-match ban.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he's on 7. Wow. Well, that'll.
Did he escape 5 this year? Has he served a ban yet? Or did he?
No, he hasn't.
No.
He escaped it. Yeah, he did.
Okay, so there's half a chance. I think with him playing deeper as well, he's naturally going to get booked more. So, but then saying that, he's not ratting about in the middle as much, so he might keep out of trouble. It's one of them. It could go either way.
Yeah.
Oh, I brought it up because in my 3-2-1, look, he's there. I'll be honest, but he's not at the top because of the yellow. I just thought it was stupid. I thought he had a pretty good game, Granit. Well, very good game, and when you have a look, have a look at his pass completions and things like that. I know I probably come across a little bit biased and go, fuck, Tez is going on the Granit thing again. What's he doing, having a pull over this cunt? But no, it's just, I just thought he had a very, very good game and orchestrated a lot. I want to get into the second half, Tony, and we discussed that I thought there would be changes, but there wasn't at this stage. 54th minute, 57th minute, 2 back-to-back goals. I'll let you talk us through them both.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we got tons better or them 2 quick goals made Newcastle change their shape and they gave us more space, more time. They stopped their low block and it just made things easier for us. The first goal, I'm buzzing we scored it, good header. It is amongst the worst defending you're ever going to see. I would be furious if we conceded that. It's not a great ball by Pepe. It's hung up. I think someone timed it at 2.5 seconds from his boot to Aubameyang's head. I know 2.5 seconds sounds like not a long time in terms of life, but a ball that's in the air for 2.5 seconds when you're playing against a back 5 with 3 massive centre-backs and Aubameyang's not really the best in the air and the ball's going into the 6-yard box, I think any one of the defenders or the keeper should have come and got it. Great header by Aubameyang, and I think that's only his second header he scored for us. The other one was Chelsea. So you don't expect that from him. They always talk about he had the highest leap at the club until Tierney signed, and we've never really seen it. But yeah, he got really high in the air, and it's a very good header. And then the second goal, obviously coming back to back so close, it's just completely changed the game. Class from Saka. Kept the ball for a while, recycled it rather than just rushing it in, which I think is something we've done a lot better recently. I actually thought Saka was in trouble because I didn't think he had the best first half, and every time he tried to take on their right wing back, is it Lazaro? I've never heard of him. He basically just weren't getting any luck in the first half, and then he was sort of doubled up with 2 of them. Obviously, he popped it through his legs, and what I like about Saka, he always tries to pick out a ball, and a lot of the time we've seen him overhit crosses and they've gone into the stands or off for throw-ons, but you can always or usually half see what he's doing, and he picks people out. And to be honest, I think he may have been picking out Mustafi and Pepe nipped in front of him. But either way, he picked an area where 2 players were, and Pepe's basically scored the same goal he scored against Man United.
Okay, Saka's got a yellow card.
Adi, as a keeper, would you have come for the first goal?
I was just going to pick up on that 100%. If you look at the ball, it wasn't whipped in, it was actually floated, and then you can actually hear the keeper say away, because I think the keeper thought it wasn't even going to come into the box because of how the trajectory of it was. So if you look at any goalkeeper, top 6 goalkeeper, Champions League goalkeeper, they're coming and claiming that. And that's an easy catch, because it would have been unchallenged. You had Aubameyang, as you said, not that strong in the air or anything. Eddie in there, not that strong in the air. To be fair, it would have just been an easy catch.
I also think Aubameyang doesn't go for it if the keeper starts coming. He's that type of character that isn't going to go for a challenge.
That is it. Yeah. Yeah. So I would definitely. I would definitely say as a keeper, I would have come out for that. But I just wanted to pick up on one thing about the second goal with Pepe. Before Christmas, I think Sky Sports did just a little bit of analysis on Pepe when Arteta came in, saying that Pepe always starts off too wide, and that with Arteta and how Arteta has changed Sterling's game, it's always getting into the box. So that they actually showed Pepe on so many different occasions where the ball coming from the other side, but then he's still basically on the touchline. But then I think you can see that development already with the Man United goal. Even in that game, he could have had 2 or 3 if he actually started a little bit closer in at the back post.
Yeah, another one in the first half where Danny Rose had absolutely ages, ended up chesting it down and putting it out for a corner. But Pepe, probably would have scored. You can see it's still not natural to him. He's trying to do it, but he has to think about it.
Yeah, definitely. But now I'm just happy that he's actually in his head that, you know what, I'm always going to be there. I'm always going to get goals like that. And to be fair, I was happy to see him nip in front of Mustafi, because I'm not sure what Mustafi would have done in that position. But it was a very good finish.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so second half, obviously we're up to 2 goals now, and the confidence has really come about. Addy, and there was Ozil got a goal late. Lacazette came on late in the second half for Eddie, and then Lacazette also got a goal. Mate, I'll let you talk through them ones.
So again, obviously we know that Ozil got 35 passes for that goal, with everybody touching it at least once, and it just goes back to the Arsene Wenger way of football, where it's okay, obviously we're looking to go forward, but we can't go forward. Let's retain the ball. Can we switch out? A lot of players travelled with the ball as well in that possession before the goal, and it was always passing and moving, which is what you want to see. And even at 90th minute when Ozil scored that, and it was good to see people were still doing their job, still running off the ball. And they still had that energy. And then obviously even when he played that 1-2 with Xhaka to actually put him through, it was good to see it. Also still having that bit of energy and drive to actually drive towards the goal. Obviously it was fortuitous for his goal, because again, I think the keeper definitely should have saved that. But again, it's good to see Ozil again driving into the box, looking for that pass in there, or to be on the end of anything that comes in.
Just have a slight bit of criticism before you move on to the next goal.
Yeah.
Lacazette's got a shoot there. On number 9, don't get me wrong, he's done well, but if he's someone that we want or need to get 15, 20 goals, he's got a shoot there.
I think his first touch.
I don't think he should have a first touch. That's my issue. I think his first touch should be shot.
Okay, yeah. Maybe it's the confidence. Maybe it's the thing where it's like, oh no, I don't. I'll probably miss. I don't know, but I agree with you.
It's hard.
Even I thought that. Yeah, it's hard. But no.
I see where you're coming from, Tony. And look, I actually seen also that obviously Lacazette's back now, because he scored that real late goal, and he was only on for 5 minutes, and he's back, and I'm like, oh fuck, here we go again. Continue, Adam.
And again, just with everyone giving it until the end of the whistle, that last goal, again, it just shows how I think Arteta has changed Pepe's mindset. Maybe it's because he's fitter, but obviously the ball got played into Willock, and he screamed at Willock to play that ball through. And one of my criticisms of Willock is his decision making. Doesn't make the right decision at times, but he made the pass, really waited well, and which put Pepe through. Pepe drove in again, played it through to Lacazette, and then again another fortuitous goal because he miskicked it. Or kicked it onto his left foot and it looped into the top corner. But again, doesn't matter how they go in as long as they get into the back of the net. That's all that matters, and you can see the happiness on his face and the jubilation. And to be fair, the whole team came over to celebrate with him because you know it was like a huge weight coming off of his shoulder.
Just hope that does bring him the confidence he needs. Just to add to what you said, with the Pepe run for the fourth goal, I think 3 weeks ago or a month ago or 2 months ago, you say him screaming for the ball. I don't even think he makes that run a month ago. He waits for it to feet and tries to beat the defender. I think the hardest thing to play against is a guy that can take the ball to feet and beat you, but then also run in behind and beat you purely with pace. Yeah. And he starts doing that, he is a real problem because no one's going to catch him. And then we know he can beat you if he goes to feet. So defenders just got to guess. Do they go tight and then he can spin in, or do they stand off him and let him run with the ball? And I don't know what the best option is for the defending team.
I'm going to. I agree with everything you guys say, and Tony, I agree totally. You know, a couple of months ago it wouldn't have been that as well. But I'm going to play a little bit devil's advocate. And I don't want to be negative, but I'm just thinking like that first half of football was a totally different half of football compared to the second half. Are you boys worried? And I wanted to talk about. Actually, I'll do it before 3, 2, 1. I was talking about. I put a little article out about whether we're going to make a top 4, top 6 because Arteta said that he came out and said let's go on a run and you know we can. If we win all these games and whatnot, and we can sneak into 4th place. I actually had us, in the article that I put, and I do apologise, I only put it out to patrons, but for me, I've got us missing 4th, and I've also got us missing 6th, Tony, which is a real worry. So even if we do go on a run, and our football style has changed, I just don't see us getting there, mate.
I don't know. We had no expectations of him coming in, and I completely agree with what he said, and I think he said it in the best way as well. He's not said, yes, we're definitely going to come 4th, and then if we don't at the end of the season, you go, oh, well, can't he said we're going to come 4th? But he also can't come out and say, oh, we have no aspirations to make it, because you go, well, you can't be a serious manager if you're basically telling the players have the rest of the season off. We have no aims. So he's worded it perfectly, and I agree with him. Look, the way the table is at the moment, and I'm not saying we will, but if we go and win 4 games in a row now, and 4 games ain't a lot, and I think our fixtures are not horrible. I know we've got Brighton away, Everton at home, and I'm not sure.
Yeah. We've got Everton, Brighton away, Wolves away, and Leicester at home.
Yeah, they're not the easiest games, but you win 4 games.
West Ham. West Ham. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You win 4 of them 5, and just the way the table is at the moment, that puts you really in the reckoning. I don't know if it's going to be top 4 or top 5, but I personally think it's going to be top 4 that gets Champions League. But the way the table is at the moment, I'm making Arteta exactly right. If you win 4 or 5 games in a row, you go on a decent run. And what he said is, if we go on a run, I know for sure we'll be in the hunt in the last 3 or 4 games. I can't argue with that. Are we capable of going on that run? Who knows? That's the $1 million question. But that's what he said. He said, if we go on a run, we'll be there, and if we don't, we won't. So let's see. And I don't know how else he could have put that.
Yeah, big ambitions, and I agree. You've got to have them ambitions, otherwise you're just gonna, you can't come out and say, well, let's go on a run and make eighth, because then the fans are going to go, oh, you're fucking kidding, ain't you, mate? I do agree. Addy, your thoughts, mate? Do you think? I know 4th is mathematically, is almost there, but when I was looking at it, you look back at Tottenham last season and they got 71 points to secure fourth spot. The year before was Liverpool on 75 points. I'm looking at around probably 69 to 70 points will get you fourth spot this year.
Mm-hmm. I think what Arteta is seeing is that, one, he's putting that resilience. Two, we're much harder to beat. Teams don't score as many goals against us, and they don't have as many chances against us. So I think in his mind he's thinking, okay, so I've solved one of like the two major issues that this team had before I came here. Now the next thing I have to solve is scoring goals, and I think he feels that we've actually had games of what I think that's our third clean sheet under Arteta. In the nine or 10 games he's been here in the Premier League, I think now he thinks, okay, the defence and my midfield understand their jobs now. Obviously, we're not going to keep clean sheets, but I think he thinks now that once I get the attack going, and I think the attack will get settled and they will get going, I think he knows that we have a good chance. And I say we have a good chance because everybody else still has to play each other. And for me, if you do look at the fixture, if we've got Everton at home and they've had a good bounce with Ancelotti coming in, so that's going to be a hard game. We've got West Ham at home, and for me, I feel that should be a win. And I think with our home games, Arteta knows that we need to win all our home games, and whether it's against anybody else. So I think it's going to be the away games that's going to determine what we do. We got Brighton away, and I feel since Arteta's come in, I'm not scared about Arsenal going away from home and capitulating, and definitely we're going to concede. We're going to buckle over. I don't see that with this Arteta team from all the matches that we've played under him, and in all the competitions we've played, and even when he has changed teams against, like for example, Bournemouth in the FA Cup, we actually did much better than I expected, and that's because he's actually playing a strong team, and I think once you get that winning feeling and you get that two wins, that 3 wins, you get that a different sort of energy within the camp now. And as I said, we're still unbeaten in 2020. So again, I think the boys they're still trying to hold on to that. Okay, let's go on. We're on an unbeaten run since the turn of the year. So let's keep that going. So I think if we just get that 2-3 wins, and I think the next 2 games, which are at home, are winnable. So I just think once we get that, then we can push on. I don't want to be negative about anything, because look, I want nothing more than to go on a run and make the top 4. But I'm a realist, and I look at but then it's so hard to predict this season. Like Manchester United 100%.
beat Chelsea yesterday, and I'll be honest, I said to you boys at the start of the pod, I didn't think that was going to happen. That type of blew my mind. So, and then our son's out for Tottenham, so that throws them into a bit of chaos. So yeah, look, we'll see what happens, and I hope the article that I posted was totally wrong, and I'm proven wrong, because yeah. But I actually had Liverpool. Well, obviously they'll finish on top. I hope Manchester City beat them, and they'll finish on about 107 points. I have Manchester City getting 36. Leaving them in second spot on 87. Leicester was the one team that I really looked at, because they've got a lot of games against basically everybody: Man United, Chelsea, Tottenham, and us.
Yeah.
So they're sitting in third, but I think they may struggle. And then obviously Tottenham, us, Manchester United, and Chelsea for trying to go into that fourth place. So.
This weekend is huge. I know in the grand scheme of things it's probably not, but Tottenham have got Chelsea, Leicester have got City, we've got Everton. We come out 3 points. I think we're the last to play, which is a bit annoying. But it's huge because you know 3 teams in that shout, because Everton are there. They're the second best form team in the moment, and I think they're 2 points above us in the league. So of the 6 teams, at least 3, if not 6, are going to drop points. So this weekend is a big indicator.
Yeah, no, I agree. What do you want that result to be, Chelsea-Tottenham?
Draw.
I would say draw. Yeah, draw.
Yeah, okay. All right, now let's get into our 3-2-1. I'll start with you, Tony. Just go 3-2-1, mate. I don't want to really drag it out.
Well, all 3, yeah?
Yeah, go all 3. Yeah.
3 Pepe. I think everything good we done involved him. Just even in the first half when we weren't great, he dragged us forward. He had one of the shots on target, probably the only decent shot on target. Even the chances we missed in the second half were all created through him. I just thought he was pretty much unplayable, and probably his best performance for us. 2, Saka. Defensively, not really troubled, even when we was playing poorly. I didn't think he had a great first half. I thought he got forward well, but as I said, he didn't have much joy against Lazaro in the first half. Second half, it seemed like he was running 60 yards every time he got the ball and beating 3 or 4 people, or attracting men and then putting in decent crosses, or playing the right ball, not just a decent cross. If there was a better pass on, he'd play the pass. Again, you've got to remember he's 18, playing out of position. I just thought, especially after the first half, I thought he's having one today, or he's not at his best. I thought second half was excellent. And then 1 would be Ozil. I thought in the first half, and any time we looked half decent, he had something to do with it. I think he probably played for about 5 minutes in the first half, and in all 5 of them minutes we looked dangerous, and it was the only times we were. And I can see the argument the other way, saying, well, it's a 45-minute half, what's he doing for the other 40? But when he's the only one that looks like creating anything, I can kind of forgive him for only turning up for 5 minutes. Second half, just played the incisive passes, made the incisive runs, kept the ball when it was needed, managed the game brilliantly, got his goal, as we said, a bit fortuitous. His flicks and tricks, sometimes you watch him and you just think, you make football look so easy, and it's very annoying. Like some of the stuff he done, you're just like, it's just silly. Like, and it is a bit bittersweet, because you're like, why are you not doing this every week? But and look, people go, it's at home against a team in the bottom half. Of course, he looks brilliant, but he did look brilliant, so I've got to credit him for it. Yes, it's a shame he doesn't do it every week, but when someone plays football like that, he's one of them only players. It makes you jealous. Like, why can't I do that? Like, it's just so easy for him sometimes.
Yeah. No, I agree. Addy?
So with me, I'll give Pepe a 3. Again, a goal and 2 assists. Like, can't really ask for more from him. I can see he's really becoming exciting. I can see the potential. I can see the vision, and to be fair, I'm just excited about him. 2, I'm going to go Ceballos. I think, again, first half, he didn't do the job that I felt that he was putting the team to do, especially like trying to find Ozil, breaking the lines quicker, if not being that deeper creative cog in the team. But second half, I think Arteta got into all of them, and it was just much more better. Balls moving quicker, breaking the lines, decision making again was really good. So yeah, no, definitely Ceballos. I thought he had a very good second half. And again, 1 Ozil. Again, I thought that he again, first half he was a little bit quiet, but I think the whole team was quiet in it, and he was moving around trying to find the spaces, but we just wasn't finding him in those spaces. But second half, he really linked up well with Ceballos, with Aubameyang, with Pepe, and again, I felt he actually worked till the last whistle. So yeah,
okay,
give him a 1.
Give him a 1. Mine's very similar, obviously. Pepe. Look, what can you say? He's really coming of his own now, and it's exciting to have him it's he was in a bit of poor form, or you could say it was the manager, the way Emery was using him as well. But he's really coming on his own now, and I'm excited for what the future holds, or the rest of this season as well with Pepe. So he definitely gets my 3. My 2, and I don't want to copy you, Tony, but yeah, it does go to Saka. Look, he was really good. I never thought that. Yeah, he'd be that player, and even when I was in hospital, I come out and I said to you guys, I said, well, what's the story with Saka? He's starting all of a sudden, and I think Darren mentioned that he had 1 or 2 good games, and he's been pretty quiet. But I tell you, it was really, really good to see, and he's one of the real good youngsters coming through, and I'm excited to see him continue. So he gets my 2. Now my 1, obviously I did give a little tease before with Granit Xhaka. It was a real toss between Ozil and Granit, because Ozil was pretty quiet in that first half, and then Granit with a yellow in the first half. And I know Ozil was good, and I agree with everything that you say, Tony. He makes football look amazing and stuff, but this is a 45-minute performance. Deserve a 1 point? I don't know. And then you could arguably say, well, was anybody real good in that first half? So, but yeah, Granit will get my 1. I think he just went about his job as he usually does, and goes about it quietly and doesn't really become that that flashy goal scorer, because he's not scoring goals and putting through assists, and you're not watching like a Ozil play. When you watch Granit, you're just watching a workhorse, and I think he did exactly what Granit does every week in, week out. So I just want to give a shout out as well to Leno. I think, was that in the first half?
Yeah.
That deflection off, I think it might have been Tobias.
Yeah.
That could have really turned the game around had that have gone in. So I'll just give Leno a shout out there as well. Okay.
He did get a guy behind me who's absolutely clueless, knows nothing about football. I'm pretty sure he's blind. When Maximan hit the post, he went, "Oh, what a save by Leno!" I was thinking, it's okay if you want to praise him, but fuck off. He was in a different postcode.
Oh, man.
Okay, let's get on to the second half of this show, and I've got to go through some questions, and you can get them at clockend_talk. You boys got anything else to add on that game, Tony?
Well, I just want to say, I think playing in the midfield for us is a fucking thankless task at the moment, and I'm kind of glad that he gave Ceballos some points, because he did play well. And look, we know that our philosophy at the moment is Xhaka sort of drops into a kind of half left back position, Saka pushes forward, and that's where a lot of our attacking threat is. But then if you're playing with a 10, it just leaves whoever it is, Ceballos, Torreira, Guendouzi. It's basically a midfield 1. And I'm not sure how. It hasn't been exposed. Whoever's been playing there, we sort of looked half okay in doing it. I don't.
Can I tell you why?
Go on.
Because if you look at it now, our right back tucks in and comes in to help that midfielder, that midfield 1. So it's.
I don't think I agree with you. I agreed with you when Maitland-Niles played. I thought Hector was so scared, and rightly scared, of St. Maximan the other day, that I don't think he, towards the end, in the 85th minute when Maximan couldn't be bothered to run anymore. But I felt for the majority of the game that Hector was. Scared makes him sound shit. He was rightly scared of Maximan. The guy's got a lot of ability, and I just felt like, especially in the first half, there was Ceballos and then maybe Ozil 20 yards ahead of him. And nothing else. And I felt Ceballos was basically playing in midfield on his own, and it's kind of thankless task, and he done it well.
No, I agree.
For questions.
yeah, I was just looking at some questions. I was trying to listen to you lads as well. You're talking about the midfields though, Tony, and I'm glad actually Addy did mention Ceballos. This headache though, where does it move us going forward? You've got Ceballos, you've got Torreira, and Ozil, Granite. You've got options now. Guendouzi, where does this put him? So options going forward now. It's a good thing, but somebody misses out, don't they?
Yeah, and I think we're also going to have horses for courses. I think, although we were surprised Ceballos was playing when me and my mates were talking about it in the pub, we're saying, okay, we can understand it in this game, no Torreira and Ceballos, because you'd expect to have more of the ball. You want someone who can progress the ball against a very defensive team, is likely to keep the ball. So you understand it. Had this game been away at Chelsea, just to pick a team, then I would have been negative about that team selection. So I think he's got to pick the right players for the game we're playing, and that's a good thing for a manager, rather than having to try and get players do stuff they can't. If we didn't have Torreira and you had to ask Ceballos to be that tough tackling defensive midfielder, it's never going to happen. It's never going to end well for you. But now he's got the option of, okay, maybe we're not going to get the ball forward too much, so we can drop Ozil and play Ceballos and Torreira, or we can still get the ball forward, but we need someone who's better at tackling. So you drop Ceballos, bring Torreira in, and keep Ozil in. He's got them options. I think Granite is in the team, pretty much regardless. And it looks like Arteta's going to keep Ozil in the team pretty much regardless. So then it looks like there's that one space available, and it's going to depend on what he wants or what he feels we need on that day.
Yeah, and just to add, I think, because we're still in free competitions and it's the late end of the season now, he's going to rotate that midfield three quite a bit. I think I don't think he can keep playing Torreira, Xhaka. I think you're going to see the Ceballos come in, potentially a Ceballos. Well, I think Granite will stay, but you could potentially see maybe against in the FA Cup potentially a Torreira and Ceballos, or Torreira and Guendouzi. I don't think they match as well, Torreira and Guendouzi, but I can see him rotating that midfield, and even Willock as well. Willock can come in and play instead of Ozil, like he did against Bournemouth. So we've got the options, which to be fair, I can't complain.
What do you say starting Europa League next week, Addy?
I think Xhaka, Torreira, and Ozil. I think the front three probably. I don't think he'll start Eddie. I think Lacazette could potentially come in, and then Aubameyang still stay out wide.
Okay. What were you saying, Tom?
No, I was saying the Europa League's this week.
Oh, this week. Yeah. I don't know what week it is. Yeah, I don't know. I think it could be Guendouzi, Torreira. I don't know if he's a fan of Guendouzi, though. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But anyway. Okay, let's get on to some questions. MAA Gunner, what was the point in Eddie? Tony?
I don't know. Eddie done well against Bournemouth, better than I expected. I'm not a big Eddie fan, and maybe it was a bit of a reward. I don't know. Maybe he wanted a bit more energy than Lacazette. We all said Lacazette should have been dropped. So without that, and look, we don't know. As I said, I'm speculating. I'm not speculating. I'm guessing that Martinelli might have a little knock or something. I don't know, but as I said, he didn't really warm up.
Yeah, has to be something. You boys probably watched him play with Leeds a bit more than what I did. Was he outstanding there or what?
He
didn't start. He scored. To be fair, he scored goals. I'll give him that. He's that fox in a box type of player. Always getting it on the end of back post tapping or anything like that. But then, he didn't. I mean,
him not starting is, in all fairness to him, and as I said, I'm not a big fan, but it wasn't a reflection of performance. It's Bielsa wanted to play a big man who could hold the ball up and bring everyone else into play. It's a bit like France with Giroud. Some people will say Lacazette's better, Benzema's better, Martial's better. You can list 10 different strikers that people think are better. But they want someone they can play up. He's going to win headers from goal kicks. He's going to bounce off everyone. And that's what Giroud gives them. And they don't care that he didn't score in the World Cup because they won the World Cup. That's kind of what Leeds do with Bamford. Like, he's not. You look at his numbers and you think, fucking hell, like, how's he keeping Eddie out of the team? Yeah. Like, he is that big, strong, physical presence. His touch is half decent, and people can play off him, and that's what Bielsa wants.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. MAA Gun also says, and I'll go to you, Addy. How essential is buying a 10 this summer? A creative attacking midfielder is vital to Arteta's plan, and Ozil most likely be gone in 2021. If we don't address it this summer, then we'd lose Ozil, and the prices for 10s would rise as our need would be obvious.
I think there are only a handful of 10s in the world now. I think that number 10 role has really diminished. So I think potentially when Ozil just does actually leave the team, and this summer I think we might need a creative player, but it might be a number 8. Obviously, there's talk of Grealish, and he's going to be stupid money. Even if Aston Villa get relegated, they're not going to let him go for anything less than 50 million in my eyes. So I do think we need my personal thing is a Cazorla replacement. I don't think we need an Ozil replacement. It's either we need a player in the mode of Cazorla that can actually create from deeper, or we need a box to box midfielder in the shape of Ramsey. So we're actually getting goals for midfield, because that's one thing we are missing, goals for midfield. So that is the two, I think, two creative midfield players I would go for, not an actual number 10. But if we can get Grealish, then by all means, let's get Grealish.
Are we ruling out Ozil re-signing at less than what he's currently waged? His wages are now? Are we ruling it out?
I don't think the board. One, I don't think Ozil will take a wage decrease, and I think the board will say, cool. I think he will see out his contract by all means. Definitely think he'll see out his contract, but I do not think the board will say, cool, Ozil.
I just don't know where he's going to get that anywhere else.
Yeah, so I agree with you, Tez. I think he will take a decrease, but I don't think he'll sign. I think he would take a decrease, but what number do you put on it? Because look, he's reportedly on between 300 and 350. You hear different numbers, but we can be pretty safe in saying it's between them two numbers.
Yeah.
Is he going to take 150, a potentially 200k a week drop? Probably not, and we know he could get that elsewhere on a free, even just for his marketing. Like, just for the amount of Twitter followers he brings, that he's worth 150k a week to, especially a new team that would bring a load of new followers. And so then what number do you go to? 200? Does he sign for that? I would say probably. Would I offer him 200 as much as I like him? No. Personal opinion. Do I think the board would do that? Also, no. Mm-hmm. So it's finding that number that suits everyone, and I don't think there is a number that suits everyone.
Yeah.
I think from Arsenal's point of view, it'd probably be between 100 and 150 that they would think, okay, yeah, we don't have to then pay out for replacement, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's a number Arsenal would probably be happy around, somewhere around there. But then I don't think he would accept that.
I'd love to hear from our American fans, and I know you are all out there, because there was reports he was heading over there, but I don't know what the wage structure is. That's what I mean.
There's no way.
Is there sponsorship deals, though, and things like NBA or not?
I can tell you now.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I can tell you now, someone that would actually reach out to him is David Beckham and Miami FC. Into Miami FC.
He would pay the money.
No, they would. 100% they would pay the money.
Really?
100%. Oh, yes.
It's not salary cap over there, is it? It's just open.
No, I think they've got a restriction on foreign players.
Okay.
I think
they do have a salary thing, because the way their league works, that the players, they try and keep the same model as they do with other sports. So the players are owned by the league. So I remember, there's been in years gone by, players have gone and they've said, they've gone to the MLS, and you'll kind of find out what team it is in a couple of weeks. I don't really fully understand how the system works, whether when they're coming from abroad, if the team go to the league and say, get this player, and then the league does it, and then they acquire that player after. I'm not 1,000,000% sure how it works, but it is controlled in some sense, both in foreign players and money. And I know you can get huge differences in the dressing room because, like, the local American lads who probably ain't that good, I don't watch enough to know. Like, you can have. I remember, I think it was either Beckham or Gerrard that the left their team was on like $2,000, not even $2,000 a week, $1,000 a week, and we're talking dollars, so that's like just about a wage. Oh no, sorry. It's still, I mean, it's not a great wage. That's a working man's wage, and then you had Bex or Gerrard, whatever one it was, on like $100,000 a week, or whatever they were on. In terms of the sponsorship that you're saying before, I mean, Ozil's Adidas still ain't going to get any bigger. Barring Messi, I think he's probably their second biggest asset.
Yeah, okay. So there's not going to be like some, I don't know, big American company go, oh yeah, I'll jump on that. Nah.
Adidas.
Yeah, I know Adidas is, but I mean like fucking Charlie's BP Fuel or some shit. Like, there's nothing. No. Yeah, okay.
I mean, as well for Ozil, China's out of the question.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another one.
Exactly.
You could go Japan.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think Turkey's an option, and they'd find a way to find a deal for him. Like, it'd be illegal as fuck, but they don't care. Like, fucking Erdogan will pay out of his pocket to give it, like, take away some defense ministry money and give it to Ozil. Like, they'll literally take out some of their tourism budget and pay him with it. Well, he does. He attracts tourists. You know how like things they could. To be fair, our sponsorship with Rwanda has come out of Rwanda's tourism budget because the Prime Minister, whoever decides to deal, was an Arsenal fan and he wanted to be involved. So 10 million a year for Visit Rwanda.
I'd love to know if anybody's gone over there because they're a sponsor of Arsenal.
Oh, to be fair, I think I was reading a report that their tourism has shot up.
Really?
But then I think, yes. I think their sponsor, is it Barcelona? They've got another sponsor, Visit Rwanda, with another big team, but I can't remember who it is. But yeah, they said that their tourism has gone up.
Has gone up. Yeah, right. Okay. That's interesting. Then what'll happen with Ozil? MWA Gunn also says thoughts on Emery's comments. Tony, I don't think I've seen it, so I can't really. Unless I forgot.
He improved us, and he was just starting to steady the ship, and we got rid of him. He's a fucking idiot. I'm so glad I actively didn't like him. Even when he got sacked, people going, he's a nice guy. It just hadn't worked out for him here. No, I said this at the time. He isn't a nice guy. He's an absolute bellend. And every time he's spoke since he's left Arsenal, he's proved it. I think he keeps going for jobs. He's probably not getting them because they've said your time at Arsenal was shit. So then he has to discredit Arsenal. So he can just keep discrediting Arsenal and make it look like it wasn't his fault to get a better job or to get a job. I don't blame him. It's probably what I would do in his position. But like, it's just boring. Like, take some responsibility. And obviously Wenger's now done it or been asked about it, and he said our plight was basically Emery's talking shit. We won the FA Cup, we came second, and then obviously had a bad year. Like, to say he improved us, we went from 6th to 5th. I don't care that it's not an improvement. It's the same thing. I don't care that it is one number higher. And Europa League, we went from the semi to the final. We just had a harder run the year before. And again, it's the same thing. You got nothing at the end of it. Didn't improve us. And then if you look at this season, he was going way, way backwards. He's just full of shit. He keeps talking, and someone needs to make him shut up. I hope he gets a job, because then hopefully he'll stop talking about us. I don't care where. Like, go and manage someone else and talk about them.
MWA Gunner says, if the Guendouzi rumours are true, should we sell him, adding to the fact that he doesn't have a specialist skill which is needed in this system, and he'll have a huge price due to potential, Addy?
I was actually discussing this on Twitter with one of my friends. He said, we should sell him. And I said, no, that is not the way you go, especially with someone that's 20 years old. It's sort of second season in the Premier League. No, you don't do that. I think that Arteta has shown him, and it's like he's laid down the law and said, look, if you're not going to listen to me, this is what your future is going to be. And to be fair, it just shows that he's still not mature yet. But then what it just means is that we should support him. All his teammates should put their arm around him and say, look, we're fighting for a cause. You have to listen to the coach. You have to buckle up. This is the time you have to mature. Because if he doesn't learn here and then he goes on to another club, like, he could be bouncing around clubs like Ravel Morrison's and all that, because he has potential and he has talent. And I feel he will develop well under Arteta if he listens. So, he's still young, and I think he's in the right place. He's in the right environment, and he has the right people around him to guide him. Because his biggest friends are Lacazette, Pepe, and Aubameyang. So he's got the guys, the older heads there to actually speak to him and say, "Yo, relax. Obviously, you're out of the team now, but in training, you work hard, and then you'll get back into the team." That's it. I don't think we should say,
no, I agree with you, but my biggest worry is, I guess, is, look, he's worth a lot more now than what we paid for him. So he is worth, let's maybe say 30, and some would probably say a little bit more. He's now out of the team. Do we worry that price goes down? So when you talk about your mate, I do kind of get his argument.
But then remember, he's only 20 years old. I think with him, before we can even say about selling him, I think you've got at least another 4 years where he can still develop. 4 or 5 years where he can still develop into something. Remember, we've sold Serge Gnabry, we've sold Marlin, that's at PSV now. We've sold a lot of talents that are at a younger age. Benacar, who's at AC Milan now, where we thought, you know what, let's get some money for them now. But then they're world beaters in 5-6 years. I think that, cool, he has the talent. Let's actually develop that talent. And then if he's not good for the team, then we sell him at a premium rate, as opposed to, let's just get the 30 million now. He goes to a lower team and actually develops, and then they sell him for 80 million later on down the line. Then we shoot ourselves in the foot.
My only disagreement with everything Addy said is last year the rumours with PSG were looking at 60 million to help their homegrown quota and whatnot. And I said it then, and I still maintain, if a 60 million offer comes in, I'm driving him there. But for the 30s and the numbers you're talking, I agree with everything Addy said.
Yeah, if it's 60, I'll bite your hand off. I would not even.
I think it's unrealistic, but they were just the rumours last year.
Yeah. If you can get anything around, I'll 100% take it.
Yeah.
That's bon voyage.
Okay, who are we up to? Golson fan. Tony, if Saka was to become a winger with the return of Kearney, where does that leave Martinelli? And she's put centre forward ?
Potentially. I mean, look, we're talking next season basically by the time that happens, and we don't know if Aubameyang and Lacazette are going to be there. Also, there's squad, the competition within the squad, so you don't just have one left winger or one striker. And who's to say that if Tierney comes back, he gets his place back first of all, and then if Saka moves to left winger, he gets a place ahead of Martinelli or Aubameyang, who Arteta seems to favour. There's so many ifs and buts. It's impossible to answer. What time frame are you talking? How do we know that Saka left wing is going to be his first choice? Yeah. I presume he wouldn't be, personally. Like, there's just so many unknowns that it makes the question near impossible to answer.
Like, even now I look at the back line and, you got this Saliba kid coming in, you got that Pablo, Cedric from, we bought him in January. Like, it's... Yeah. I'm almost wondering if we've got too many players now. Fucking hell. It's a headache. It's a headache. This cunt.
No, but look at it. Remember last year when we played Crystal Palace at home and we lost? Jenkinson played in that match. Mustafi played in that match. Like, players that you actually really wouldn't want to play. But because of the amount of matches we had to stick in players to to balance it, because at that stage I thought it was the wrong decision, but Emery put all his eggs in the Europa League basket, and fair enough, we beat Valencia and went through to the final, but I felt that we didn't have the squad depth for him to be rotating out the big players. But this season, I think that we've actually got quality in depth now, so we can, if Bellerin needs to come out, Ainsley Maitland-Niles can come in and he'll do a good job. If Tenny's back, Saka can come in there, and vice versa. So I said it's a really good headache to have.
No, it is. Cronky's second son, and I think it's Clay. He must change his name every week. Why do you think Eddie was picked over Martinelli? Shift Aubameyang actually wide, Martinelli out left. Also, do you think we dominated possession too much of Denny, GX, M10 in midfield, or because Newcastle was so poor, Tony?
The first part we've gone over a million times, so there's no point repeating myself. The second bit, look, possession's one of them weird stats that it can mean everything and it can mean nothing depending on the game. Newcastle defended with a back five and another four behind the ball and then tried to hit Jolinton as a target man. You're always going to have a lot more possession, especially when their tactics, when they get the ball, are give it to basically St. Maximin or Almiron and hope they travel 60, 70 yards. They're not going to have the ball for a long amount of time. So we get the ball, we make 10 passes, especially in the first half, 10 passes, don't go anywhere, give it back. They make one pass, run 30 yards, lose it. We have 10 passes again. So possession is always going to be in our favour. But that's part of their game plan. I don't think that makes them poor. I think that was just how they went about the game. I mean, I was just watching, I saw the end of the Atletico Madrid game, but they never have more possession than anyone, and no one calls them poor because they go on to keep clean sheets and win games. Look, Newcastle obviously ain't as good at it as Atletico Madrid, no one are, but if you look at Newcastle's results in the league, they tend to not give away cheap goals, which is why they play that system. As I said earlier, I think in the first half we were poor, and I don't think we had more of the ball because of the players we had on the pitch. I think, as I said, they let us have it. Second half, I think they had to come out a bit more. As I said, them two goals coming so close to each other, it meant Newcastle had to go from... Because I think as it stayed 1-0, they still sit in until the last 10 minutes and then come and try and play. But them two goals coming within 3 minutes of each other, they had to go from like one game plan to the polar opposite game plan in the space of 5 minutes. And then that allowed more space, and then you've got players that can have more touches and pick the right pass. They're doing things they're not used to. They changed from a back five to a back four. And the game completely changed on their moments. But I don't think the possession is really a factor. When a team comes and lets you have the ball, that's just what it is.
He did also ask, lastly, why no Maitland-Niles on the bench?
Strange one. I don't know. He's not... With other players, he's come out and said, he said with Ceballos that he had an attitude problem. He said with Guendouzi he had an attitude problem. We've heard rumours of that from Ainsley before, so we assume that, but he's not said it, which is strange because he doesn't seem to have a problem telling us when he thinks a player's not working right. Also, Ainsley was probably in the top 3 players in every game he played under Arteta, and then Bellerin came back against Chelsea, which surprised everyone. And then the next game against Bournemouth, Bellerin played again, and Ainsley came on, I think, with 10 or 15 minutes to go, which was a big surprise. And look, Bellerin's kept his place, but to not have Ainsley involved, especially when he can cover 2 or 3 positions, it's a strange one, and you assume there's a reason for it, but I don't know. I feel like Arteta probably would have said if there was.
Yeah, it was an odd one.
Personally, he would still be at the moment.
Yeah. Don't know. Who knows? Hakon Larsson, what did you make of Aubameyang playing on the right? Lacazette was on the bench. Hakon also says that he was still on the wing even if Laka didn't play.
I think Aubameyang played on the left, and he only played on. Always played on the left.
Yeah, I was thinking that when I read it actually.
Yeah. I'm not too sure about this question, but
I was thinking about this the other day, and I don't know what you guys think. And the only thing I can think of, and I don't believe this, but it's the only part reason I can get into my head, is he does work really well defensively. I think they had a chance early on where he was basically last man and he made a really good tackle.
Yeah, Lazaro.
That's the only reason I can see for keeping Aubameyang on. I think again, I don't believe this, but this is the theory I'm running with. He's going to score wherever you play him. He's going to score goals because it's what he does.
Yeah.
And he probably works better defensively than anyone else that can play on the left. So they've kept him there. I don't know if you agree, but that's the only sort of sense I can make of it.
The only thing is that Martinelli gives the same energy and defensive work. Maybe like Aubameyang.
I agree on energy. I don't agree on defensive ability. Like you're not going to make that tackle.
Not defensive ability, but as in he'll still be in that area. I don't think Martinelli won't be the guy. I would say, to be fair, Pepe. I was going to say Pepe because Pepe actually doubled up on maximum with Bellerin on quite a few occasions and even won the ball back quite a few times. But previously, Pepe he would actually leave his right back exposed, whereas Martinelli, he's always, him and Saka have that little camaraderie that okay, cool, yeah, if you need help, I'm there to back you up. So yeah, I'm watching.
I'm trying to make sense of it, and that's the only.
To be fair.
Okay. Hakon also says, how do you guys think we'll utilise our left side the best with combinations of fullback and wingers? Can you guys see Saka play on the wing with Tierney and Kolasinac is there? I forgot about him. Behind him, Tony.
It depends if Arteta changes what he's doing. At the moment, he's always had someone who's essentially a striker playing on the left. They tuck in, Saka pushes on, and he becomes 1v1 with a fullback automatically because someone's followed the striker in. If he's going to persist with that system, then Saka's never going to be a left winger for us. Is he only playing this system because of the players we've got available at the moment and because of the injuries and stuff? He's forced to play this system rather than actually wanting to. I think we'll know a lot more when we have players fit. You think he hasn't had a left back fit really, apart from Saka, since he got here. Kolasinac played against Man United when he clearly wasn't fit and done well, but we've basically been forced into playing this system, and so we don't know what the answer is. If he does persist like this, Tierney could maybe still come in at left back because his delivery is fantastic and he's quick enough to beat a man and whatnot. But then I would imagine the left winger on paper would still be a striker of some form, be it Martinelli or Aubameyang.
I agree with what you're saying there. But look, the only thing we've got Europa League coming up. That's going to be a different team. Look, touch wood, we win that game. Coming up after that is it West Ham? Is it?
West Ham.
Now, Everton. Everton. Then. So, what I guess I'm asking is, do you change a winning team? But then, will we that good?
There'll be rotation. We've got Portsmouth in the cup as well. There'll definitely be rotation.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So it'll be a different team than what we saw against Newcastle.
Look, I'm not saying a different 11. There will be rotation, I'd imagine, and maybe not so much in the Olympiacos game, but definitely in the Portsmouth game.
Okay.
And remember, Olympiacos away is a very hard place to go, so he might not rotate on Thursday, but then at home, which is only next week, he might go a bit weaker. It depends on the result, obviously, but even if I think we're drawing, say it's a 1-1 draw, I think the second leg Again, I'm not saying he plays a weak team and makes 11 changes, but maybe 2 or 3 more players get rested. But I think just because it's so hard to go there with the atmosphere and they're a half-useful team, I think they draw or beat Tottenham in the Champions League group. I think they drew.
Drew.
Yeah, so they're not a shit team. So I think you have to go strong out there.
Yeah, no, it's just that. Yeah. I was just reading there. That's interesting, actually. None of the 8 previous meetings between them and Arsenal have finished level, with each side winning 4 games each. So they're not as easy, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it seemed. I think about 3 years in a row, it felt like that we had them the last game when it was a dead rubber, and we played with kids essentially. Obviously, we lost to them at home 3-2 a couple of years ago, and then beat them 3-0 away when Giroud got a hat trick to go through.
That's right.
But yeah, I just remember. I seem to remember. It seemed like when I was, I don't know, about must have been 5 to 10 years ago now. Every year we seemed to get them in the group, and we got them away last game when we was already through.
Yes, won't be an easy game then. Hack-On, you going overtime?
Am I fuck?
Thought you were a fucking multi-millionaire, mate. Schwinn's going over. I heard from him earlier.
Again, am I fuck?
Hack-On says, how will the Champion League ban affect the players at City? And do they have to sell to balance the books? I'll go to you, Addy, I'll
ask this.
Hey?
I'm glad this come up because I was going to ask this question.
Yeah, I'll go to you in a minute, but I'll get Addy's views first.
One thing I think that everyone has to wait, because me personally, I feel that CAS will overturn it. I don't think they'll get the ban, potentially a fine, but I don't think they'll get the ban. But if they do get the ban, I think you've already got Sterling coming out saying that he's gonna stay. I feel that everything is all dependent on whether this ban sticks or not. And I think certain players will leave. It's inevitable. But then I think because they still have the lure of, okay, cool, big owners, like we can still give you bigger contracts and everything like that, to mitigate the time that we're not going to be in the Champions League. It's not like they're getting relegated, like Juventus. I still think that the lure of the Premier League will still be good for the players, and they've got quite a few players coming off of leaving this summer, so they'll be able to manage that wage bill better by boosting up a few contracts because a few other people are leaving or retiring. So I think they have that in their court. So I don't think they'll sell. I think only if the big players push to leave, which I don't think they will. And again, it's dependent on Pep Guardiola.
Well, do they have to sell to balance the books, though?
Me personally, I don't think they do, because I think the reason why they're in trouble wasn't because of this season or last season. I think it's because of 2014 and them lying because of that Etihad deal. So I think they may have rebalanced, but I don't think they will have to sell to mitigate what they did in previous years, which is why they were talking about stripping the 2014 Premier League title from them. I don't think the Premier League will do that, and I don't think they will have to sell to rebalance the books.
No, Tony, what are your thoughts?
There's not a chance in hell they strip the league from them. It's an interesting one because I half agree with Addy. I don't think they'll serve a ban. I think I was listening to someone last night, a sports lawyer essentially, and he was saying that the reason he thinks UEFA have given a 2-year ban is that CAS will half the punishment and they'll get a 1-year ban.
Yeah.
Whereas if they go 1, it leaves no room.
That's right.
For a softening. But my issue is I don't think it'll be next year because City are just going to tie them up in litigation. UEFA cannot afford to ban them while the process is going on, because if they're found to lose, UEFA have gone out of business. Basically, they just can't afford it financially. So I think City will drag this on into the summer, and then they'll say, okay, like play this year, and then anything going forward. And then I wouldn't be surprised come September, October, they say, oh, you've got a year ban for the following year. But I still think it's going to be top 4 against Champions League, and I would kind of expect, I expect City to be in the Champions League next year. Also, imagine City going on and win it, which is not out of the realms of possibility. Do you think UEFA are really going to go, oh yeah, our champions can't defend it? I just can't see it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And to be fair, I might be in the minority. I'm kind of on City side, apart from I want them to get banned so Arsenal have got more of a chance. I'm kind of on City's side. Like, financial fair play was brought in to keep the big clubs as big clubs and not really allow anyone else to compete with them. And City have done it in a clever / illegal way, in that they've sponsored themselves and said, look, we are using the money that the club's brought in. Like, but that the rule has never sat easy with me. Man United have already made their millions in years gone by, so they're allowed to spend millions on wages. But you new clubs haven't done that yet, so you can't. But then how are you going to, in theory, get to the level to match them when they can spend fortunes that you're not allowed to? I think the rule was voted for by the big clubs, the Real Madrid, the Barcelonas, probably the Man Uniteds. And for me, it really doesn't sit easy with me. On the other hand, I'm really against oil money coming in. But I don't really agree with either side.
Yeah, it is what it is at the end of the day, is the oil money coming in.
Yeah, but this is what City are going to fight. So I don't know if you was in the WhatsApp group at the time. Like, I don't know if it was a time when you was awake, and I was talking to a few people about it. And there's huge complications with it, because City have an argument that it's a restriction of trade to not allow us to spend money. Like, how can you tell any business they can't spend money? That is a European law issue. The flip side of that is there was like, well, now England aren't in the EU, so does that make more complications? Who jurisdicts the UEFA? Because not all of the countries are in the EU, even before England had Brexit. So who is the final decision maker? Because if CAS rule in UEFA's favour, City are going to take it further.
Oh yeah,
and
I agree with your opening statement.
Issue.
Yeah, I agree with the exact thing that you said, and yeah, I was in the group and I heard you talking about the Brexit, and that's what I said. Mate, when you bring in Brexit in, I can't comment because I have absolutely no idea what a Brexit is.
It's nothing to do with Brexit as such. It's just that who governs what court you go to. Like, look, if you commit a crime in England, you go through the English court system. The UEFA are based in Switzerland. I don't know what their laws are, but then obviously the clubs in the competition are not. So, say, I don't know, pick a random Red Star Belgrade. If they have a problem with UEFA, does it go to court in Belgrade? Does it go to court in UEFA? Does it go to a European court?
Where's it actually?
I don't know.
Being judged? Yeah. I don't know either. I think, as you hit the nail on the head. It'll be tied up in litigations for fuck knows how long. Obviously, it was a 2-year ban because it will be reduced to a 1-year ban if they decide to go ahead with it. I think the fine kind of sticks because it makes good negotiations.
I think I agree with you. I think it will stick, but is it not counterproductive? You spent more money than you're allowed to, so give us more money.
Yeah, I get.
It makes no sense.
Well, the only sense it makes is UEFA don't come out with egg on their face. So they go, well...
No, I agree with you, the fine will stick, but even that being a punishment is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
It's like going bankrupt and them saying, oh, you owe us 10 grand for going bankrupt.
Yeah.
Hang on, you've just told me I've got no money. But now you want more money from it. It doesn't... As a punishment, it is ridiculous. I agree with you. I think that will stick, and I think they'll pay the full fine. It might be the only thing they pay.
Yeah. I would. It'll be one ban minimum, and I don't even know if that'll stick. To be honest, like I look back at future bans. Obviously AC Milan, different
AC Milan's
circumstances.
They accepted.
Yeah, that's right.
They completely accepted it because they couldn't afford to be in Europe. To be honest.
No, exactly. so it just. I don't know how it'll play. It's going to be messy. It's going to get messy, and UEFA will probably pull the plug on it, I'd imagine.
I think they'll come to some form of agreement that, like, end all this because we can't afford to fight in court. Pay us X amount, pay the fine so we don't look like arseholes.
Yeah.
And that's the only punishment. But
that'll be it.
I wouldn't be surprised if they get a year ban. I just really don't think it will be... What would it be, 2021? I really don't think it'll be like this coming season.
Yeah.
I know the question that Hakon, he said the balance of books, and I pretty much agree with what Addy was saying. I don't think it matters now from what I was reading. It was, years ago. So I'd imagine the books are a bit more balanced than Happy Days. I'd imagine they get
it's funny actually.
ordered,
I think the rumor is that they pay their image rights. I was saying earlier about it comes out of the tourism budget of like the way I was saying that Turkey would probably do something with Ozil.
Yeah.
Apparently, I was reading, I don't know if it's true, that the players' image rights bonuses come out of a budget from the Etihad. It's all above board, apparently.
Okay.
But it's similar to what I was saying earlier.
Yeah. My only
their wages not silly in a sense. That you look at a number and go, oh, that's high, but when you consider part payments are from elsewhere, their books are probably pretty rosy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd imagine they would. But my only thing would be maybe Pep might leave or decide that I don't want to be tied up in this shit.
He said he's staying, didn't he?
I don't think it'll get to that point though. You see heaps of rumours. All of a sudden, he's the new man for for Juventus. But I don't think it'll happen. So, okay, let's move on. Lewis says, "How good was Pepe yesterday? Going forward, obviously brilliant, but his defensive contributes and tracking back were immense. We have a real player on our hands, looking really good, and that is why he got 3 from all of us." Halls of Marbles and
it will get overlooked though because he was so good attacking, and Addy mentioned it after that he did do a good job going back yesterday. It's probably the first time I've seen it on a consistent basis. But it's something that probably won't really get mentioned in weeks go by because you'll go a goal and 2 assists.
Yeah, true. Halls of Marbles says, "Why is Mustafi seemingly improving?" I agree. I was actually thinking this myself. Are we being more detailed in training? Does Aubameyang playing on the left ultimately matter since he still scores and gets into chances? So 2 questions there, Tony.
In terms of Mustafi, I think for how long we've been doing this podcast, I've been saying systems make teams, especially defensively. Yeah. We have more players around him. When he does give the ball away, he's not last man anymore. There's a couple of players around him to help out. There was one time, I think in the first half, he gave the ball away quite poorly, but someone didn't help him, and you're just it will never be remembered. Whereas before he was giving the ball away, and that someone was one-on-one with him, they might beat him. And look, he's had a little bit of luck as well. I think Maximan beat him way too easily, and Maximan can do that, but it was way too easy when Maximan hit the post. But it's not gone in. The ball's come out. We've won 4-0. We've got a clean sheet. Well done, Mustafi. If that game's at 0-0 and Maximan bends it in and they win the game 1-0, you blame Mustafi for the result. And nothing he's done has actually changed. I think it's just he's being helped more, and slight mistakes he's made, he's got away with. Look, the Maximan one isn't a howler, but it's not good enough, really.
Yeah.
Against Turkey, Maximan's like good.
Yeah, no, I remember, I think it was it first 2 minutes or 4 minutes into the game when Jolinton was on the left-hand side and he was just running. And then Mustafi he did what Mustafi did at every other stage. He instead of actually trying to close down the striker, just kept dropping. I think he got in across Jolinton, but nobody was in the box. But yeah, I think that's what it is. When he has the people around him, he doesn't have that he's not as error prone because someone can tidy up for him. But when it's just him on his own and he has to make a decision, I swear,
it's a worry.
I still get scared.
Fucking hold your breath. Hold your fucking breath for that cunt.
Yeah.
Okay, Halls of Marbles also says, as we may need to sell to buy, what if Aubameyang and Laka want to stay? They are arguably our most costly assets in the side. Addy.
Again, with me, I think if you have got a good core of players and they're settled, and you only need to add in a few additions, then I think the cohesion of the team will grow better. So if Aubameyang and Lacazette want to stay, then by all means they stay. Then we improve the areas that we need to improve. This summer, Liverpool, I don't think they actually signed anybody this summer, but because they had that. Sorry, I said again.
Just Harvey Elliott, which ain't really a signing.
Oh, actually, yeah. but then because they kept that core, everyone knew how they're going to play, and they just pushed on from there. You don't have any other players to come in and bring in and learn the way they play. Everybody's already knows what to do. So I think the less changes and us working on the areas and bringing in the players in the areas that we need to, that would be good. I don't think we desperately need to sell. If Saliba's coming in, potentially, if it's Upamecano we bring in, he's going to be in the last year of his contract, so potentially we could get a deal with RB Leipzig to bring him in. Whether we can schedule another deal like we did with the Pepe deal, potentially that might help. But I think the less changes, the much better the team will be.
Are you on mute, Tez?
Yeah, dumb cunt I am. Do you think that that we're going to, like, I was thinking, like, in the summer we always want that new shiny toy, and we got Pepe last year, and I was thinking for this year, who's that going to be that new shiny toy, and what position? Because fucked if I know. Like, I'd imagine Mustafi goes in the summer, but do we then need another centre back? You know, like, we've got midfields we spoke about before. If Aubameyang, Lacazette stay, well, we don't need them positions. So I don't know if we're going to do much business in the summertime.
Yeah, Addy just mentioned Upamecano. I don't think we're going to go for him. You look at it, and Mustafi's obviously played his way back into favour. You have Saliba. Holding, we don't know what's going to happen. Mavropanos has looked okay on loan. I can't see Luiz coming out of the team, and to be honest, I think he's looked good in every game under Arteta, apart from Chelsea when he got sent off, and I don't think that was his fault. Well, it wasn't his fault. So you look there and you've got numbers, and I don't think he's going to. And I also don't think he'll want two new. I don't think he'll want to bring Saliba in as a 19-year-old, 18-year-old, whatever he is, and then partner him with someone new to the club as well. So then you've got two people that sort of aren't really sure what they're doing in the new league. So I don't think now. I don't think we're going to do too much. Maybe a couple of squads ins and outs. Socrates might go, and they may add a small price defender, but then they might think we've got Mari, who is that Socrates replacement. Just got him a bit earlier. A couple of other positions around the pitch where you think they might go on, might have a short loan. I don't know. I don't think we'll do much. I would love for our new toy to be Grealish. I can't see it happening, but I think if someone said to me now you can sign one player that is half realistic, I think he'd be at my first choice out of pretty much any player anywhere.
Yeah. Me too. We've always, well, me and you said it last year, didn't we? I'm a big fan of him. So, look, obviously, if Aubameyang, Lacazette, Ozil goes, then obviously there's going to be some business.
Ozil ain't going anywhere.
No, Lacazette, Aubameyang.
And also, sorry, I know this is going back onto an earlier question about bringing in money and budget, but you've got to assume that Mickey's going to go.
Yeah.
He'll go. Yeah.
Like, you've got player El Neni possibly, and they might not, as a single player, they might not bring in much, like 5 million for El Neni, 10 to 15 for Mickey.
Is El Neni
when you
still
start
on the
adding
books?
He's only online, I think.
Huh.
Yeah, to Besiktas.
Yeah. So you start adding all these up, and then, as I said, you might lose one or two squad players. Obviously, I mean, I'd imagine it's not much, but Robbie Burton's gone out for money. You've got, as I said, if Socrates goes, then there's a small fee that's going to be gained there, and then you've got your money that you would have had anyway without sales. And I think there'll be an okay amount of money to spend. I agree with Addy that I think they'd rather, if Aubameyang and Lacazette stay, which I don't think they will, I think they would rather keep a cohesive squad.
Now, if they do go, I think my target would be Timo Werner. The likelihood of us getting him is pretty slim, but
I think he'll go Liverpool. And personally, and I'm going to be made to eat these words next year, I've never rated him. And I know I've said this before a million times. I know he does good things in Germany. Every time I see it, like, I remember in the World Cup, everyone was going, "Oh no, he's going to be a star show." And look, I know Germany weren't great, and I'm not putting that down to him, but he just looked lost. Like, I can't see him playing as a 9 in the Premier League. I really can't. And look, I said I'll probably be made to eat these words in a year, and someone will come and say he scored 500 goals and you're a cunt. Yeah, I am. But I've never. Do you know some players you just never take to them?
Yeah.
And for me, he's that guy. I'm not saying he's shit. I'm just not having him.
Okay. Yeah, you'll be eating them words, buddy. Sorry.
Probably. But look, I mean, to be honest, if he does go Liverpool, you put anyone in this Liverpool team at the moment, they're going to score.
Yeah.
Look, and let's be honest, if he goes Liverpool in the summer, he's a sub.
Yes. I don't think Firmino's going to...
Well, unless for me, 100 million for Bayern Munich bid 100 million for Firmino. That's the only way that Werner gets in that Liverpool team if he goes there.
Isn't it funny that last year we were talking about players and it was obviously Ajax players because they were doing well in the Champions League, but nobody seems to have mentioned much about them this season. Are they not going that well, or because I know Schwinn
they got knocked out of the league.
Top.
I know that, and that what's his name's going to Chelsea, but other than that, like I know Schwinn was a big fan of Donny's, but there's no.
Well, Ornstein said on Monday that they expect to lose up to 9 players. And you've got to go. Donny Van de Beek is the jewel in the crown, but I think he'll be going to a big name. There's a few others knocking around. I think we were linked with Tagliafico, but obviously we don't need a left back now. We were linked today with Daley Blind.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where that came from, but their players will be picked up. Their keeper will go somewhere half decent, I'd imagine.
Neres, I think they got.
Neres.
Yeah, okay.
And Promise as well. Apparently, has done okay this season. I don't watch a lot of Dutch football, so I'm not going to pretend to know much. But I think I read he's done okay this season, so he's another one. It's one of them things. Last season, they only really lost 1 or 2 players, and you can kind of convince the squad to stay together when you do that. But when you start letting everyone go, it's then difficult to say they've let 4 players go. They then can't say to Neres, "Oh, actually, no, you've got to stay." Fuck off! Like they've all got their big money moves and they're all loaded.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult once you've got a mass exodus to stop other players going.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to pump through a few of these questions because some of them we've touched on. Saka's contract issues abounding, says Halls and Marbles. Would he really leave as a youngster? He has time to appraise his position and there aren't many other big clubs where he can start regularly. That said, is 50k a week a reasonable wage for him, Tony?
Well, they're talking about 30, which is 10 times his current salary, which is not bad at 18. I don't know. Is being a starter the be all and end all? I reckon Bayern Munich are very hot on him. So I think most teams would take him, especially on a free. What is interesting is obviously you have I think they've changed the rules because there used to be a thing where basically if you signed a player under 21, I think it was, that had been trained by another club, you had to basically pay a training fee, but it was essentially just decided by court. And there was no set fee, and some of them got quite high because they're saying, look, he's going to go on to be a future international, or he already is an international, which Saka well could be by the time his contract's up. And some of them fees, they were going stupid money. And I think I remember hearing in the summer that they changed the rule to a set fee, which wasn't really that much. So it's a messy one. I mean, you shouldn't get in this position with young players. I know. So they had the meeting yesterday with Raul. Vinay called in because he was ill. Husfami was there. They had the meeting with the supporters groups, and someone questioned him about saying, "Oh, you wouldn't let players go into the last 2 years, and now we've got Aubameyang, Lacazette, Ozil, Saka," and Raul just said, "Oh, we're not going to speak about specific players' contracts," which kind of sidestepped the question massively because we're asking about the theory, not the individual players. But it's another piss poor situation that we seem to always get ourselves in.
Okay, Ben Browning must be a new listener. I haven't heard of Ben before, so anyway, welcome, mate. Is the system at least partly to blame for Ozil's decline? Having a more balanced midfield today meant he had more touches further forward and could actually influence the game. Is this the way forward short term? I'll go to you, Addy.
I just feel that Arteta's have reverted to the system where Arsene got the best out of him in that number 10 role, and with Ceballos being there, he doesn't have to drop in deeper, which means that his touches are much higher up the pitch, and he can actually be more involved in doing that last assist or creating chances, putting in the wingers. So I think, Arteta's just going back to trying to bring the best out of Ozil and giving him facilitating the team around him, and I think he's done that well. I think we've seen some good performances from Ozil under Arteta, so a few underwhelming ones as well, but I would say much better than his season and a bit under Emery.
Did you see his heat map the other day? Just a massive.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see it. It
was literally just a peak.
Was it? Yeah, I'll have to have a look. I've always mentioned Arteta, and I was always concerned about tactics and stuff. But after that Newcastle game, I thought, hang about a minute, like this guy, I think he only knows attacking football, and that's football that I like to watch. And then you think of Ozil, and you think Ozil, he goes better. You know, Emery, look, I don't know what Emery was doing today. I still fucking couldn't tell you what Emery's style of football was. And that just choked Ozil. He's just not that, he had no creativity, no flair in his game. And I think Arteta definitely gets the best out of an Ozil.
But you've got to think that Arteta's whole job, his time at Arsenal, was pretty much get the ball to Ozil. Yeah. Literally, that was it. Towards the back of his career at Arsenal, it was like, get your head up, give the ball to Mesut.
Another one on Ozil. I must have missed this. JJ Duck Farm. Didn't we have a duck bloke the other day? Duck something. Goon a duck, or I don't know. These ducks pop up from everywhere. Why has the linesman flagged Ozil offside in the 70th minute when he puts...
Oh, man.
I don't remember it.
Oh my gosh. This is my pet hate about Arsenal. We are too kind. Literally, if it's tight and you know it's tight, just put the ball in the net. They will do a VAR check.
I had this disagreement with Liam, so I'm just going to cut you in. The ref blew the whistle, so it doesn't matter. The game stops with the whistle.
It stops with the whistle?
Yes. Because otherwise no one would ever stop playing, because the whistle would go and you'd carry on just in case. So I had this disagreement with Liam in the group chat. The moment the whistle goes, that the game is dead. Like, nothing after that.
Oh, is that what you were talking about? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, it was so tight.
Because I don't know if you was listening when Aubameyang got that goal at Old Trafford. I think it was only me and Darren on the pod, and I massively praised the referee for holding the whistle and not blowing it. And Darren thought that he just didn't have time to blow it or didn't get it to his mouth quick enough, and it was accidental. But if the ref would have blown the whistle, it wouldn't have mattered that VAR showed Aubameyang was about 300 yards onside. If before the ball goes in the goal, the ref blows the whistle, they can't check VAR. Because obviously it played to the whistle. As I said, when would you stop? Otherwise, the whistle would go and you carry on, run down the other end, tap it in and just hope. And then they can't book you for time wasting because VAR's made you right. Do you know what I mean? So the moment the whistle goes, that's it.
Well, let me read the total question out, because it's... so why was the linesman... Why has the linesman flagged Ozil offside in the 70th minute when he puts in Aubameyang all alone? Perhaps a tight call, but why not wait for VAR to make the call? Isn't that the new rule? If it is tight, then wait for VAR. If Aubameyang scored and VAR overruled it, would the goal have stood?
So the end part of that question I've just covered. The only thing I'd say is the lino's got it wrong, but it's so annoying that there's no consistency. I was watching, what game was it? On Friday night, I think it was Leicester Wolves, and the linesmen were letting it go for ages, like how they were in the World Cup, and then they were checking it after only if it went in. And then you get other games and other linesmen that just seem to put their flag up straight away and blow the whistle. There was the case Sheffield United earlier on in the season at home to Newcastle where Shelby scored. The linesman put his flag up, the ref didn't blow the whistle, they went on and scored. And that is the way we believe that the rule's meant to be with VAR. But the linesman and the refs just seem to be doing their own thing. And you'll get one linesman that does sort of as you expect him to do, and another one like on Sunday that does what they were doing last year. But yeah, I mean, the second part of the question, if Aubameyang went and put the ball in the guide, he probably got booked for time wasted.
This VAR is fucking shit.
No, that's not a VAR. Like, I agree with you, the VAR shit. That isn't a VAR issue.
Yeah, but okay, yeah, that's the line. I get, yeah, okay, that's the linesman issue. But what's the point in having fucking VAR if you're not going to let the game play on?
Again, that's a linesman issue because some are and some aren't. So you can't blame the system. They should all be letting it go, and some are.
Yeah.
But the ones that ain't are wrong. And again, I don't like VAR. I'm not trying to go, oh yeah, VAR's great and being pro VAR.
Yeah.
But in that case, the linesman is making the mistake.
They're not on the same page or something. Something's going on here.
Well, actually, that's not. It depends because sometimes the linesmen put the flag up, but the refs don't blow the whistle. Other times, like there just seems to be so many different ways of doing things that, like, because sometimes they put the flag up, but then like the Newcastle one I was talking about, the linesman put his flag up, the ref ignored it, they scored, and then they checked it after, and he was onside. Other times the linesmen don't put it up at all, and then when the attack's ended, they pull it up and signal he was offside over there. So it's like they're making the refs decide if someone's offside. The ref can't see.
What's the rule though, Tony? Like is it are we playing the game on? If it becomes a goal, we check VAR for onside, offside. Is the flagsman putting it up?
I don't know. My answer is going to be I don't know. But the way it works in the rest of Europe is what you just described.
Yeah.
With the way England are using VAR, I don't fucking know. If the rest of the world or the Champions League, what you've just said is right. They play on. If it's tight, really tight, they play on. When the attack finishes, they obviously if it goes in, they check it. He puts his flag up to say I think it was offside, but I didn't know, and they check it. If he has a shot and it goes out for a corner, they put the flag up and it's a free kick. They don't check it. He just goes, I thought it was offside. We've let the attack play out. It's now offside. That's the rule everywhere else. In England, no, I think that's the rule. But fuck knows. Like, I mean, I've discovered rules this week that I didn't know.
How the fuck do you cunts fuck it up? Like, and I say you
English.
Cunts because she's a fucking English.
I agree with you. It's what we do. We see how everyone else does things and go, we can do that better. For no apparent reason, we just decide we're better than everyone else.
Oh, fuck me dead. Surprised you haven't got old Boris in there fucking sorting it out. He'll sort it out, doesn't he? Fix everything. Mr. Fix It. Okay. Eddie's been very quiet. Obviously a Boris fan. Romy, haven't heard from Romy for a while. If Arteta is not going to play Aubameyang down the middle, do you think Lacazette earned his place back?
To be honest, yes. I don't think the Eddie experiment worked. I think you could play Eddie against Portsmouth in the FA Cup. Bring him on. I would even prefer Martinelli if he's adamant on keeping the Aubameyang out left. I would even prefer Martinelli going in there. But as long as Eddie doesn't go in, I think Lacazette. Let's see if he works hard and trains hard, and Arteta thinks he's ready. Then yeah, go ahead. But I think that goal would have taken a lot of weight off his shoulders and it might give him a new lease of life. But yeah, I'll definitely start Lacazette ahead of Eddie. But if he wants to put Martinelli in there, then go ahead. But I wouldn't want, if he's really adamant on putting Aubameyang out left, then Martinelli or Lacazette up top.
If anything, Eddie type of lost the position, I suppose, because he did have a great game. Like, yeah, if that was his chance, he's played himself out of the position.
Yeah.
You've also got to think, if we're looking ahead to the league, Everton are probably going to play Mina and Keane, who are big, strong, will kick you. So if Aubameyang is staying wide, you've got to say, even if the conversation is only between Martinelli and Lacazette, you've got to say that Lacazette is more... Well, you don't know. Lacazette is more likely to hold the ball up against them, but then are you just playing into their strengths? Whereas Martinelli will buzz around and run off them, and that's something they're not good with. It's a difficult one, because you try and beat them at their strength, or do you try and do the exact opposite? But then you know if the ball goes long, you ain't going to keep it unless it goes in behind and you can run onto it.
It's going to be an interesting one. Romy says, do you guys miss second half FC, overdraw FC? Also, is Saka a left back now, or should he be a winger? Do you think the Tierney rumours are real, Tony?
If he's talking about the Leicester rumours, no, I think they're absolute nonsense. We said about Saka earlier, it depends on how Arteta wants to play things. If he wants a left winger that's essentially a striker, then that's never going to be Saka. What was the first bit of the question? Oh, do I miss second half FC? Well, we was second half FC. We was 0-0 and 4 at half time.
Yeah.
And then scored 4 in the second half. So, no, I don't miss it. I'll score it the other day.
It's fucking painful. It's painful, that shit. Not good for my heart.
I mean, it's not like... Do you know what's good? It isn't a trend, because we've only won 2 games in the league, but the United game we won in the first half and done nothing in the second half. The Leeds game we won in the second half, done nothing in the first. Yesterday was that. Bournemouth we won in the first half. So of these 4 wins, it's 2-2.
Yeah.
So you never know what half are going to be shit, what half are going to be good. You just know it's going to get one of each.
Yeah, my memory's trying to go back, and I'm looking for it in my brain, and I'm going, I can't remember, so I can't add much because I can't remember back. That was Arteta's second win?
In the league.
In the league, yeah.
In the league, yeah.
Okay.
Man United, we won in the first half and done nothing in the second. We just defended, and then this one, we done nothing in the first and won it in the second.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got to find that. He's got to find that balance. It's hard.
It's a 50-50 split. Balance as you can get.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I want to see us dominate the first 20, get 1-0 up, and then just poke along. And if the game finishes 2-0, I'm happy.
But that's what we've done against United. That's what I'm saying. United, we won in the first half. Yesterday, or whatever day it was, Sunday, we won in the second half.
I tell you what, though, it was very good to actually, because with the Emery days, when you come out, it's 0-0, and I get where he's saying overdraw FC. You'd almost think, this game's going to end a 0-0 draw. But it was actually good to see the players turn it on and actually, 4-0. And let's look, Newcastle keeper wasn't the greatest. Probably should have been 2-0, but hey, I'll take the 4. And it was really good to see the players go on with it and come out guns blazing.
Do you know that's the last time I think the last time we scored 1 by 4 goals was with Arsene Wenger.
I think that's 4-0 because we beat Bournemouth. We scored 5.
Yeah.
1.
Yeah, there was a fight. There was a Bournemouth was smashed. Yeah,
and Fulham was 5-2.
Yeah.
I think it was 4 goals and a clean sheet.
Yeah, 4 goals and a clean sheet. Yeah. But then, I don't think we had. When was the last time we had a big win?
You'd have to go back a bit.
That Bournemouth game, I think, which was February.
Yeah. Oh no! As in again prior during Emery's period. I can't remember. I think, was it not Tottenham 4-2?
Well, what you mean against a big team or just by a big scoreline?
Or just by a big scoreline?
Well, yeah, I mean the Fulham and the Fulham 5-2 and the Bournemouth 5-1 were big wins in terms of scoreline, and that was, as I said, February and I think about October. And then the Tottenham was in between. It was in December.
Yeah.
Chris Nielsen. He says, and just a simple question, simple answer will do here, boys. I'll go to both of you. Mustafi, is he one of the most improved players under Arteta, Addy?
No.
Your name drop one?
most improved for me was Shaka.
Oh yeah, baby. I was going to say the same thing. Tony?
No, and Xhaka, but for me it was. I think he's just shown Xhaka's ability is better. I don't think Xhaka's any better as a player.
He's always
doing the stuff that he always done. He's just got more protection around him and more time on the ball.
Tony, thoughts, JJ or at Duck Farm, thoughts on Guendouzi? I don't think Arsenal have played more than one good half of football with Guendouzi on the field. Most of Guendouzi's supporters use his number and stats as some type of justification of his ability. But it was only Emery who picked him game after game, no other manager.
Look, it's difficult because I'm not a huge fan because I don't really know what he does. But he's clearly got ability. I was saying it during the first half the other day. You watch Ceballos and you think you're clearly a very good footballer, but sometimes I don't know where you fit in. And so he did fit in really well on Sunday. But I think that's probably the only job you can get him to do. And I see Guendouzi, not a similar type of player, but a similar type of thing. When I look at him and think, you can do this half okay, you've got good energy, but I'm just not really sure what you do. But then there's been other games, like he's dragged us through, and at 19, 20 years old, that's unbelievable. I mean, this season's North London derby, he was excellent. I can't remember if he got man in the match, but he was. And at 19, or he may have just been 20 by then, you're like, that's crazy for such a big game. There's obviously, I'm not a big fan, but there's obviously something there, and I just don't know how you drag it out or make him more consistent. I don't even know where you play him to get the best out of him. For me, he's a problem I would hate to have. Sometimes there's problems, but you say, it's a good problem.
Yeah.
Like we were saying earlier, do you pick Torreira, Ceballos, blah blah blah, and you go, that's a bit of a good problem. With him, I think it's a bit of a nightmare because, as I said, I think he's a good player, or he's got ability, but I don't even know where to pick him.
I agree with you. I don't know. Look, for me, Guendouzi he'll give you a never die attitude, and it's his attitude. He just never gives up. But is he what type of player? I don't know. I don't know if he's, because I always say he seems to run around like a headless chook. Yeah.
Do you know when you get a young player come through and they're always the next someone? Like what? I don't know the answers.
Yeah.
Who do you compare? Like, who is Guendouzi's rival?
I don't know.
Like, I've heard people say Harry Winks. For me, it's absolutely not. I don't know. Like, who else do you go, he's similar to Guendouzi, but he's slightly better or slightly worse? And then it doesn't have to be a young player. It could be any player or any player from fucking the history of the sport. I don't know who you go, I can compare Guendouzi to him.
No, I don't know.
Any ideas, Addy? Because...
No, I'm even trying to think.
Yes.
I just can't think, to be fair.
No, it's
and for me, that's the problem with it. We'll see.
No, I'm just saying, they don't even know. Sometimes you look at that transfer market and they often compare.
I was going to go to that.
And they've got nobody either. They've got no one there. No cunts listed there. Guendouzi's but they've listed him as $50 million player. So, yeah. Oh, there we go. Comparable players. Real Madrid, Federico Valverde.
Valverde. Oh no, wait, Valverde is miles ahead of him. Oh my, he's a footballer. Valverde is a footballer. Mate.
Yeah. So they did find one player, but I don't watch much Real Madrid either. So.
I think that's totally wrong because Valverde reminds me of Toni Kroos.
Okay. Yep. It's I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what Guendouzi's future holds. That's my biggest problem. And there was a question earlier: do we sell him now or do we hold on for a couple more years? And Jesus, I didn't even know if PSG 60 million. Yeah, drive him there myself. But
I got hammered for that last year when I said I would drive him there.
Yeah.
You don't know what he could become, blah blah blah. And now I don't think there'd be anyone that would disagree with me. And it's not a reflection of him. I don't think he's a £60 million footballer.
Mm-hmm. This comes to another one from last question from. I've got a couple in the WhatsApp chat as well. So, yep, JJ Duck or Duck Farm, whatever his name fucking is. We spoke about it earlier. How good has Ozil been under Arteta? Agree. We all agreed under that, and it just for me, it's just Arteta's. He's not choking him. It's not Emery ball. It's an Arteta attacking style football. I think that just gets the best out of Ozil. Seems to be the most important player along with Granit in our system. It's amazing how many people are actually going, Granit's a good player now, where it was only a couple of months ago everyone wanted him sold. And I kept saying, well, it's the fucking system that Emery had him playing as, and now all of a sudden he's blossomed under Arteta. What's he saying? He detracts from the point to his last 18 months has been poor. He's talking about Ozil and Granit. But all this under Emery, to use that data has no bearing on his ability, as Emery had no idea how to utilise him. Hard to disagree there, isn't it? We all agree with that one, and that's the questions on Twitter, @clockin_talk. Pumping out some more lads quickly. Where are we on the WhatsApp groupie thing? Shree says, just wondering if Guendouzi can be used similar to how United used Park Ji-sung. He is more technically secure than Park was, but brings similar sort of energy and pressing. Well, is that a comparison to Guendouzi, Addy?
I don't know, to be fair. I think that Guendouzi can't play in a 4-2-3-1. I think he will only really be good in a 4-3-3. I think when he came on against Chelsea, he did well. I think also Bournemouth, he did well in that match.
He was very good against Bournemouth. That's why he started against Burnley.
Yeah, so
hard one. Well, he has gone on. He said to expand, I mean, he can be used as the third midfielder in big games when the third middle is usually packed. He can usually buy or earn fouls and can carry the ball. He would have to be played instead of Ozil, though, which can be diversive.
Yeah. So going to what I was saying, I think he'll go well if we did switch to a 4-3-3. And then he's an extra body in there, so similar to Liverpool type of 4-3-3, and you just have high energy workers and bodies in there. But then, how often will Arteta switch that 4-3-3? I don't know. So yeah.
What about you, Tony? You know much about Park? I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, Park was one of the fittest players in the league, could play in a million positions.
No, I don't. That's what I'm just trying to think. Oh, fuck me, Dad. I can't remember him.
Yeah, and the thing is, he fucking scored every time he played against us, which was my next point. He had goals and assists in his game. Guendouzi, I may be wrong. He's definitely only got one goal for us, and I think he's only got 2 assists. I know it's only a year and a half and he's young, but he's played probably at least 50 games in that time.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't compare him to, for me, he's not a comparison to Park, but Park could play left ring, right ring. He played at least one of the full-back positions, maybe both. Played in the middle of a 3, played in the middle of a 4-4-2. Park was a bit like Milner. You stick him somewhere and he would do a job. It wasn't glamorous. No one ever goes, fucking, I want to be James Milner when I grow up. But he's been at City when they've won the league. He's going to be at Liverpool when they win the league. He's won the Champions League with Liverpool. And he's one of them players that sneakily plays 40 games a season because they bring him on 20 minutes here and there. Or if he's second choice right back, second choice left back, second choice centre midfielder, second or third choice on the wing. And Park is a James Milner for you to try and compare him. Would you compare Guendouzi to James Milner?
Yeah, no.
and that's where Park sits for me.
Oh, I remember that little cunt now. Yeah, okay. Little Chinesey fucking Korean little cunt. Yeah, okay. I was trying to picture his face. Yeah, he was a little pain in the ass against us. Okay, boys, I think that's it. What do you got? Yeah, that was WhatsApp. That was WhatsApp, Shree. Oh, you got another one on WhatsApp, have you?
I sent you from 1 second.
Yeah, you did. I'm trying to find that now. I did see that.
Here you go, I've got it.
Okay.
Can you elaborate your thoughts on Bellerin's position/runs? Seems a bit similar to what Pep does to Walker. What are your thoughts?
You go, Eddie.
So yeah, I obviously again I do think Arteta is just gonna basically mirror everything that was done at City. Obviously, it was known that he did quite a lot of the tactical things, and Pep gave him the license to implement quite a few things. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing stuff similar to what we see with Walker at City in Bellerin. So that's pretty much it.
I don't know if you agree. I thought he was underlapping a lot more than overlapping because Pepe stayed wide. I don't know why. I just didn't expect that. You just assume fullbacks are going to go around the outside.
Around the outside, yeah. I don't know, because I think it's really unique because with Pepe can go in any direction, and I think that he loves just to take the ball round the outside of the defender. So maybe which is why he didn't want to kill that space for him by him coming infield too much and then Bellerin doing the overlap. But maybe it was another passing option as well.
Yeah, it's not a negative. It's just something you don't really see.
Yeah. No.
I more wonder whether, and I know each game's going to be different, but you've got Bellerin and Pepe on that right side, and it's no-brainer. That's where you're going to direct a lot of your attack at the moment, and when Tierney comes back, and then you've got Aubameyang coming on the left. So we've got both options on both flanks, but does Bellerin, would you rather see him more defensive on the right and the attack on the left, or how would you rather see the attack go down? Because for me, I'd nearly rather a more defensive style in our defenders more so than attacking down both flanks.
For me, I like the system we've got at the moment because you've got both options but in different ways. On one side, it's the left back that's doing all the attacking and the winger tucks in and becomes a striker. So then Xhaka sits in at sort of that half left back role. So you're still defensively secure and you're exploiting a one-on-one on one side. And on the other side, the defender tucks into the middle a bit and is still pretty safe in general. But then you've got Pepe who can always beat a man. So I think we've got balance and we've also got different ways of doing things, which you can easily change up. If we're struggling and we need to change, it could be as simple as instead of telling Hector or Ainsley, sit in the middle, start overlapping or underlapping, and now you're giving the team a different problem to think about. I think he's created a lot of options already without really doing too much. And so he told Aubameyang to go central and Saka attacks from left back, Xhaka covers him. No one had thought that would happen. That didn't enter anyone's mind. And then on the other side, he's basically, as we said, he's leaving Pepe one-on-one or trying to. But if that doesn't work, we saw at Chelsea, Hector got forward and scored the goal. He got forward a couple of times yesterday as well, Hector, not loads. But it's just there's loads of different options. It's not just like we've seen it years gone by or even last season. It was cutback FC. It was do all you can to get someone to the cutback and then hope we score from there. Now we've got multiple ways of doing things.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I don't mean to be negative on it. I just I don't know which style of football. I like the attacking style of football, but we have been, and Arteta probably has fixed our defence a little bit as well. So, which is a good thing going forward, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. Last question. Do you see Martinelli starting more in the Europa than in the league? I think he'll play more in away games than home games as he brings pace on the counter-attack.
Yeah. I love watching Martinelli. I love what I saw from him, but I also wonder whether it's is a huge gamble. Like he's a young 18-year-old kid who I don't think anybody thought that this kid was going to be so good. So I'm not obviously coaching the guy. Arteta knows his players more than anybody, but is it a gamble that you take in a big game using Martinelli? I don't know if he's that good of player. Like, I know he's good, but you know what I mean. Like if a Lacazette or a Aubameyang, they're solid. But I don't know about Martinelli. Is it a gamble? I don't know.
To be fair, I think he's shown that he can hold his own even in the big matches. I just think that for his development, that we are not over reliant on Martinelli, and that he is a trump card that we can bring out any time that we want. Which is why I think it will be really, really useful against the Olympiacos when we're away from home, because they're going to be looking at videos and thinking, okay, cool, Aubameyang most likely gonna play out on the left, or if Arteta says, cool, you know what, let's change it to counter-attacking and we're just going to go pure pace up top, and he goes Martinelli, Pepe and Aubameyang, that's a whole different ball game to play against. So I think that he's still holding some of his cards to his chest, because like against when we played Bournemouth, everyone was screaming, why is Martinelli on the right, Aubameyang on the left, Lacazette up top? For me, it didn't work. Burnley. Burnley away. For me, it totally didn't work. What Arteta was trying to do. So I think he's still working out a few things, but I think he wants to keep Martinelli as a good trump card for him.
The only thing I would add is I would trust him in a big game, but I agree. I don't as good. I think he's good enough to play every week, but then do you end up with the Jack Wilshere effect where their careers ended after a couple of years because they played too much at a young age? It's not a trust issue. For me, against Man City, he was our best player, but just you've got to be careful with him.
Yeah, I suppose that's probably what I was. Yeah, more be careful. Not that I don't trust him. Like, he's a really good footballer, and the kid has plenty of potential there by the looks of it. He looks really, really good, and it's exciting. But yeah, it is also as exciting as it is. It's also a worry. Remember when Guendouzi come out and all of a sudden he's playing, and Emery was using him every week in, week out, and everyone's jumping on the bus, and now all of a sudden they're jumping off the bus. So I don't want that.
Yeah, but the issue with Guendouzi, and again, I got so much shit for this at the time. Barring his first 2 or 3 games, he wasn't really that good. First 2 or 3 games were excellent, and he kind of rode off that for a little bit. Martinelli has been good pretty much every game he's played.
Yeah, no, true.
And that's the difference for me.
Different positions, though. And I suppose
I'm not comparing the 2 players, but people always go on about potential, and look, he does have potential to be pretty much anything he wants to be, but his level right now is already, like, if he doesn't improve from today, and that's it, this is the best he's ever going to be, he's still good enough to play for Arsenal.
That's pretty big accomplishment.
Like, he is at that level already. And look, he can go on. As I said, he can go on to be whatever he wants. But it's not like, you see some players and they go, he's not there yet, but he's got the potential. He could be this. Yeah, he can be whatever. But at his current level, he is already good enough to play. He's a Champions League level player already. But you just have to manage his body. He's still growing. He's young. He's new to the league. Our league is very physical. I know in Brazil you get probably more horrific tackles, but not the physicality where you can just absolutely smash someone, go through them shoulder to shoulder all the time, little kicks off the ball. Like, you've just got to manage that. But in terms of ability, there's no problem with him. Like I said, I hope he improves, and I expect he will do. But he's not at just the potential stage.
No, I agree. Yeah. Okay, boys, we've got to wrap this up because we have gone over 2 hours. So, fuck me dead. It's probably like midnight there for you boys, eh?
Yeah, 10 past and I'm back for a piss.
Fucking hell. Okay. Okay, everyone, thank you for downloading. Thank you for listening. We're all on all good podcast apps. We are using Patreon as our main source for articles. Everything, if you've stayed with us for this long, thank you. Our articles, so Craig will be rolling them out. Ratings and previews, they always will remain free to everybody. And look, we obviously do thank all our supporters as well. Tony and I are going to get our heads together in the next couple of days and work out some prizes for you patron supporters as well. So, thanks, Addy.
No problem.
Thank
Anytime.
you. Thank you as well, Tony.
Cheers. Just to point out their prizes, they get to listen to me every week.
And thank you, everybody. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks, boys. Good night. Goodbye.